Jesus is Lord. These were the first words uttered by Anna Khan, a lifelong Muslim, as she awoke from a 15-minute clinical death. Her family stood in shock, unable to comprehend the transformation that had occurred in those brief moments. Anna's near-death experience had torn away the veil of her Islamic faith, revealing a spiritual reality that contradicted everything she had ever known. As she struggled to reconcile her new truth with her old life, Anna faced a choice: remain silent or risk losing everything to share her extraordinary revelation. In the quaint Scottish town of Greenhampton, Anna Khan's life appeared to be the epitome of Muslim devotion. Her days revolved around the rhythmic call to prayer, each salah a moment of connection with Allah. The local mosque was her second home, where she volunteered tirelessly, organizing community events and teaching Quranic studies to eager young minds. Anna's home was a testament to her faith, adorned with intricate Islamic calligraphy and the soothing scent of burning oud. Her hijab, always meticulously arranged, was more than just a garment. It was a symbol of her unwavering commitment to modesty and her Islamic identity. To her neighbors and fellow worshippers, Anna was the very picture of piety and dedication. As a mother, Anna took her role as a spiritual guide for her children with the utmost seriousness. Every bedtime story was carefully chosen to instill Islamic values. Every holiday celebration, an opportunity to deepen their connection to their religious heritage. She beamed with pride as her young ones recited verses from the Quran, their lilting voices a promise of a faith carried forward through generations. Yet beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect Islamic life, subtle ripples of doubt had begun to stir in Anna's heart. They were fleeting at first, a questioning thought here, a moment of hesitation there. Anna would push these doubts aside, burying them under layers of devotion and routine. But like persistent whispers, they refused to be completely silenced. These moments of uncertainty often came in the quiet hours of the night when Anna would lie awake, her mind wandering to questions she dared not voice aloud. Why did some Quranic verses seem at odds with her sense of compassion? How could she reconcile the concept of a merciful Allah with the harsh punishments described for non-believers? Anna would shake off these thoughts, chastising herself for what she perceived as a weakness of faith. Despite these inner conflicts, Anna's outward zeal for Islam never wavered. She took great pride in her ability to articulate and defend her faith, engaging in passionate discussions with non-Muslims and reveling in the moments when she successfully guided someone towards conversion. Each new shahada pronounced in her presence felt like a personal victory, a confirmation of her own beliefs. On what would be her last ordinary day, Anna went about her usual routine with an air of anticipation. She was preparing for an important meeting with a group of potential converts, her mind buzzing with the arguments and explanations she had carefully crafted. As she packed her bag with pamphlets and her well-worn copy of the Quran, Anna felt a surge of purpose. This was her calling, her jihad, to spread the message of Islam and guide others to what she believed was the true path. Little did Anna know that fate had other plans, ones that would shatter the very foundations of her existence. As she kissed her children goodbye and embraced her husband, a fleeting shadow of unease passed over her. For a split second, it was as if she could sense the monumental change that lay ahead. But Anna quickly dismissed the feeling, attributing it to nerves about her upcoming meeting. As Anna settled into her car, adjusting her hijab one last time in the rearview mirror, she took a deep breath. The familiar streets of Greenhampton stretched out before her, bathed in the soft light of a Scottish afternoon. In those final moments of normalcy, Anna's thoughts drifted to the countless other days, just like this one. Days filled with prayer, purpose, and unwavering faith in Allah. The engine hummed to life, and Anna pulled out of her driveway, her mind already rehearsing the words she would use to touch the hearts of those she hoped to guide towards Islam. The road ahead seemed clear and certain, much like the path of faith she had followed all her life. Anna could never have imagined that this journey would lead her not to a meeting room filled with potential converts, but to a cosmic collision that would tear apart everything she thought she knew about God, faith, and the very nature of reality itself. As Anna merged onto the motorway, her mind was still preoccupied with the upcoming meeting. The road stretched out before her, deceptively empty and calm. She felt a false sense of security, unaware of the danger that lurked just ahead. It was in this moment of quiet contemplation that Anna's eyes caught sight of something unusual in her rearview mirror. A large truck was approaching, its cargo bed laden with steel pipes. Anna's heart skipped a beat as she noticed the pipes seemed improperly secured, swaying slightly with each bump in the road. A chill ran down her spine, a premonition of the catastrophe about to unfold. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept across the motorway, powerful and unexpected. Anna watched in horror as the steel pipes on the truck behind her began to shift and sway more violently. Time seemed to slow down as she witnessed the first pipe break free from its restraints, hurtling through the air like a deadly missile. Anna's instincts kicked in, and she desperately tried to maneuver her car out of harm's way. Her hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles turning white with the effort. She swerved left, then right, her heart pounding in her chest as she fought to avoid the inevitable collision. But it was too late. The sound of metal against metal filled the air as the first pipe struck Anna's car with devastating force. The impact was jarring, sending shockwaves through her body. Glass shattered, raining down on her like a deadly crystal shower. More pipes followed, each one adding to the chaos and destruction. In those final moments of consciousness, Anna's senses were overwhelmed. The deafening crash of metal, the acrid smell of burning rubber, and the sickening sensation of her car rolling filled her awareness. Her last coherent thought was a desperate prayer, not to Allah, but to a God she didn't yet know. As Anna's car finally came to rest, an eerie silence descended upon the scene. For a brief moment, it was as if the world held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Then, chaos erupted once more as witnesses rushed to help and emergency services were called. Paramedics arrived on the scene, their sirens piercing the air with urgent wails. They worked frantically, their movements a blur of practiced efficiency as they fought to save Anna's life. Every second counted as they assessed her injuries and began life-saving measures. The severity of Anna's condition became painfully clear as the paramedics continued their efforts. Her body had suffered tremendous trauma, and despite their best attempts, Anna's heart stopped beating. The frantic atmosphere intensified as they began CPR, desperately trying to revive her. For 15 long minutes, Anna lay clinically dead. The paramedics refused to give up, their determination unwavering as they continued their life-saving efforts. It was a duration that exceeded the typical time frame in which irreversible brain damage could occur, making the situation even more critical. As the medical team worked tirelessly to bring Anna back, something extraordinary was happening beyond the realm of physical perception. Anna's consciousness, free from the confines of her broken body, began to separate and drift away from the chaotic scene below. In that moment, suspended between life and death, Anna found herself on the threshold of a journey that would challenge everything she had ever believed. Her consciousness, untethered from earthly constraints, was about to embark on an extraordinary adventure that would forever alter the course of her existence. Little did Anna know that this catastrophic accident was not just a random tragedy, but a divine appointment that would tear open the veil between worlds and reveal truths beyond her wildest imagination. As her spirit hovered on the brink of eternity, Anna was poised to discover a reality that would shatter her understanding of faith, God, and the very nature of existence itself. As Anna's consciousness separated from her battered body, she found herself in a state of bewildering detachment. The chaotic scene of the accident unfolded beneath her, a stark contrast to the serene weightlessness she now experienced. Paramedics rushed around her physical form, their movements frantic, yet somehow distant, as if she were watching a silent film from an impossible vantage point. In this moment of transition, Anna's deeply ingrained Islamic beliefs surfaced. She braced herself for the appearance of Munkar and Nakir, the angels she had been taught would question her about her faith. But as the seconds ticked by, no stern celestial beings materialized. Instead, Anna found herself enveloped by a brilliance that defied description, a light that seemed to pulse with love and understanding. The contrast between this reality and her lifelong teachings was jarring. Where was the fearsome interrogation she had been prepared for since childhood? The absence of these expected elements of Islamic afterlife left Anna feeling both relieved and profoundly unsettled. As she grappled with this unexpected turn of events, she felt herself being drawn towards a mesmerizing tunnel of light. The journey through this luminous passageway was unlike anything Anna had ever experienced. Her consciousness seemed to expand, absorbing knowledge and awareness at an incredible rate. The physical world fell away, replaced by a realm of pure energy and thought. Anna marveled at the clarity of her perceptions, free from the limitations of her earthly senses. As she emerged from the tunnel, Anna's spiritual eyes beheld a sight that shook the very foundations of her belief system. Before her stood a figure radiating an authority and love so profound that it took her breath away. With a shock of recognition that defied her Islamic understanding, Anna realized she was in the presence of Jesus Christ. The love emanating from Jesus was overwhelming, a tangible force that seemed to penetrate every fiber of Anna's being. It was a love that transcended her comprehension, vast and unconditional. Simultaneously, she felt the weight of his authority, an undeniable power that commanded respect and awe. This dual nature of love and authority challenged everything Anna had ever believed about the nature of God and her relationship to the divine. As she stood before Jesus, Anna felt a profound shift in her consciousness. The certainties that had defined her existence began to crumble, replaced by a growing awareness that her entire belief system was about to be challenged. The realization was both terrifying and exhilarating. Anna understood that she stood on the brink of a revelation that would forever alter the course of her spiritual journey. In this moment of cosmic significance, Anna's mind raced with questions. How could the truth be so different from everything she had been taught? What did this mean for her faith, her family, and the community she had devoted her life to serving? The weight of these questions pressed upon her, even as she felt an inexplicable sense of peace in the presence of Jesus. As Anna prepared herself to witness revelations about her life and faith, she felt a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. The familiar framework of her Islamic beliefs was falling away, leaving her vulnerable yet strangely liberated. She understood that what was to come would challenge not only her personal convictions, but also her understanding of reality itself. The scene before her began to shift, and Anna sensed that she was about to embark on a journey of truth that would expose the hidden realities behind her lifelong faith. With a mixture of fear and courage, she opened herself to the experiences that lay ahead, knowing that each revelation would bring her closer to a truth she had never dared to imagine. As Anna stood in the presence of Jesus, her mind reeling from the sheer magnitude of what she was experiencing, she felt a profound shift in her perception. The veil that had clouded her understanding for so long began to lift, revealing truths that would challenge the very core of her Islamic faith. The first revelation struck Anna like a thunderbolt. Before her eyes, scenes from Muhammad's life unfolded, but they were far from the saintly images she had been taught to revere. She witnessed moments that contradicted the teachings she had held dear, moments that exposed a darker side to the man she had considered Allah's final messenger. The sight of Muhammad's marriage to Aisha, a child bride, filled Anna with a deep sense of unease. She watched in horror as critics of Islam were silenced through violent means, their executions a stark contrast to the message of peace she had always associated with her faith. As these scenes played out before her, Anna felt a growing sense of cognitive dissonance. The conflict between her ingrained beliefs and the revelations she was experiencing created a profound internal struggle. She found herself questioning everything she had ever known, every argument she had made in defense of Islam. The realization that her investment in the religion had made questioning it feel like questioning her very existence hit her with full force. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. Anna's eyes widened in disbelief as she saw the true source of Muhammad's so-called divine revelations. Instead of the angelic presence she had always imagined, she witnessed dark spiritual entities whispering into the ear of the man she had called prophet. The deception was so complete, so insidious, that Anna felt physically ill. She began to understand how these falsehoods had spread through generations, trapping not just her, but her parents, grandparents, and countless others in a web of spiritual deceit. The weight of this knowledge pressed down on Anna, suffocating her with its implications. She thought of her own children, of the teachings she had so earnestly passed down to them. The realization that she had unknowingly perpetuated these lies filled her with a deep sense of guilt and anguish. How many others had she influenced, guided towards a path she now knew to be false? As Anna grappled with these painful truths, she began to see the full extent of her lifelong deception. The Islamic concept of sin and salvation that she had clung to for so long now revealed itself as a dangerous falsehood. The belief that good deeds could outweigh bad deeds, that she could somehow earn her way into paradise, crumbled before her eyes. Anna realized with startling clarity how this belief had kept her from recognizing her profound need for a savior. Her mind raced back to all the times she had performed her daily prayers, given to charity, and fasted during Ramadan. These acts, which she had believed to be the pinnacle of devotion, now seemed hollow and misguided. Anna understood that without a true relationship with Christ, these practices were ultimately empty, mere rituals devoid of genuine spiritual significance. As the full impact of these revelations washed over her, Anna felt the foundations of her faith crumbling. The carefully constructed edifice of her Islamic beliefs, built over a lifetime of devotion, came tumbling down. Yet amidst the rubble of her former convictions, Anna felt a strange sense of liberation. The truth, as painful as it was, had set her free from a lifetime of spiritual bondage. With this newfound understanding, Anna prepared herself to confront even more specific aspects of Islamic teachings. She knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, that each revelation would bring both pain and enlightenment. But as she stood in the presence of Jesus, bathed in his love and truth, Anna felt a surge of courage. She was ready to face whatever truths lay ahead, no matter how difficult they might be to accept. As Anna's journey beyond death continued, she found herself confronting the stark reality of Islamic rituals and practices. The 5 pillars of Islam, which had been the foundation of her faith, were now presented to her in a new spiritual light. Each pillar, once a source of pride and devotion, began to unravel before her eyes. The daily prayers which Anna had performed faithfully 5 times a day now seemed like hollow gestures. She saw how the physical movements of Islamic salah, which she had once believed to be acts of worship, were mere imitations of true spiritual connection. The revelation struck her deeply. All those hours spent in ritualistic prayer had not brought her closer to God as she had believed. Fasting during Ramadan, a practice Anna had cherished as a means of purifying her soul, was revealed to be a poor substitute for true spiritual cleansing. She realized with a heavy heart that no amount of self-denial could wash away the stain of sin. Only the blood of Christ, she now understood, could offer genuine purification. The concept of zakat, the obligatory charity she had dutifully given each year, took on a new meaning. Anna saw how her charitable works, while beneficial to those in need, had been tainted by a belief in earning divine favor. The true nature of giving, she realized, should stem from a heart transformed by God's love, not from a desire to accumulate good deeds. Perhaps the most shocking revelation came when Anna witnessed the true spiritual context of Mecca and the Kaaba. The sacred site she had visited twice on Hajj, the holiest pilgrimage in Islam, was stripped of its divine significance. Anna gasped as she saw the pagan origins of the Kaaba, realizing that the rituals she had performed there were rooted in pre-Islamic idol worship. The black stone she had once revered now seemed like a relic of misguided devotion. As these truths unfolded before her, Anna felt a growing sense of disillusionment. Her efforts in dawah, the Islamic practice of inviting others to the faith, now seemed not just misguided, but actively harmful. She saw with painful clarity how her passionate defense of Islam and her pride in converting others had led them further from the truth of Christ's salvation. The weight of this realization was almost unbearable. Anna's entire life's work, her identity as a devout Muslim, and her role in her community were all built on a foundation that was crumbling before her eyes. Every argument she had made in defense of Islam, every moment spent teaching her children the faith, every conversation where she had proudly proclaimed her beliefs, all of it now seemed like a cruel joke. As Anna grappled with these revelations, she began to understand the empty nature of her religious devotion. The external rituals and practices that had once given her life meaning now felt hollow and purposeless. She saw how the emphasis on outward purity in Islamic practices, the ritual washing, the dietary laws, the modest dress, had distracted her from true spiritual purity that could only come through a relationship with Christ. The journey through these truths was painful, each revelation like a dagger to Anna's heart. Yet, as the last vestiges of her Islamic faith fell away, she felt an unexpected sense of liberation. The burden of trying to earn salvation through good deeds and ritualistic practices lifted from her shoulders. In its place, a new understanding began to take root, the concept of grace, freely given and unearned. As this section of Anna's spiritual journey came to a close, she sensed that there were even more difficult revelations ahead. The foundations of her worldview had been shaken, but she knew instinctively that the most challenging truths were yet to come. With a mixture of trepidation and newfound courage, Anna prepared herself to face the next phase of her extraordinary experience, ready to confront whatever painful realities awaited her in the realm beyond death. Anna's spiritual journey took a harrowing turn as she was confronted with the devastating truth about the afterlife for Muslims. The scenes that unfolded before her were far from the paradise she had envisioned and taught others about throughout her life. Instead, she witnessed a reality that shook her to her very core. As Anna watched, she saw countless souls who had died believing in Islam facing a horrifying awakening. Among them, she recognized a familiar face, her recently deceased uncle. The man who had dedicated his entire life to memorizing the Quran now stood in utter shock and despair. His face, once filled with pride and conviction, now contorted in anguish as he realized the enormity of his mistake. Anna's heart shattered as she watched her uncle and others like him grapple with the truth. These were souls who had lived their lives in sincere devotion to Allah, only to discover in death that they had been tragically misled. The pain of their realization was palpable, their cries of anguish echoing through the spiritual realm. The scene before her was a stark contrast to the Islamic teachings about the afterlife. There were no lush gardens, no rivers of milk and honey, no beautiful companions. Instead, Anna witnessed souls trapped in a state of profound regret and sorrow. They had discovered far too late that the beliefs they had clung to so fervently in life were built on a foundation of lies. As Anna absorbed this heart-wrenching reality, she felt a crushing weight of personal responsibility. Her mind raced back to all the times she had passionately defended Islam, the countless hours she had spent teaching others about its supposed truths. With each memory, the burden grew heavier. How many souls had she unknowingly led astray? How many people had she convinced to embrace a faith that now revealed itself to be a path to spiritual destruction? The realization hit Anna like a physical blow. Had she not experienced this revelation, she too would have faced the same fate. The thought of her children, whom she had raised to be devout Muslims, filled her with an overwhelming sense of dread. Would they too one day find themselves in this place of despair, realizing too late the falsehood of their beliefs? As Anna continued to witness this spiritual reality, her heart broke for the millions of Muslims still living, unaware of the deception that ensnared them. She saw how the teachings she once held dear now served as a veil, obscuring the truth and leading countless souls away from genuine salvation. The weight of this knowledge was almost unbearable. In this moment of profound revelation, Anna understood the true nature of the spiritual battle being waged. She saw how the deception of Islam had spread across generations, trapping sincere seekers in a web of false hope. The gravity of the situation became clear. Millions of souls were at stake, unknowingly heading towards a fate they could scarcely imagine. As Anna's heart ached for those still trapped in deception, she felt a stirring within her. A sense of purpose began to take shape, a calling to share the truth she had discovered. Yet, even as this new mission formed in her consciousness, Anna knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges. How could she convey the magnitude of what she had witnessed? How could she convince others to question beliefs so deeply ingrained? With a mixture of determination and trepidation, Anna prepared herself for what was to come. She understood that her experience was far from over, that there were still truths to be revealed. As the scenes of spiritual anguish faded from her view, Anna sensed that she was about to learn about the true path to salvation, a path that would stand in stark contrast to everything she had once believed. As Anna stood in the presence of Jesus, the stark contrast between her Islamic understanding of salvation and the truth she was about to encounter became palpable. The weight of her lifelong beliefs, centered on earning Allah's favor through good deeds and rituals, began to crumble under the radiant love emanating from Christ. In this moment of divine revelation, Anna's comprehension of good deeds and divine judgment was profoundly challenged. She saw with startling clarity how her efforts to accumulate righteous acts had been misguided. The Islamic concept of weighing good deeds against sins on the day of judgment now seemed a hollow imitation of true salvation. Jesus began to unveil the significance of his crucifixion and resurrection, events that Anna had previously been taught to deny. As the truth unfolded before her, Anna felt the weight of humanity's sin laid upon Jesus. She witnessed the cosmic battle that took place on the cross, where the powers of darkness were defeated, and the triumph of Christ's resurrection as the true means of salvation. The revelation struck Anna to her core. Salvation was not something to be earned through human effort, but a free gift that could only be received through faith in Christ. This concept, so foreign to her Islamic upbringing, began to take root in her soul. She realized that genuine worship flowed from a heart transformed by Christ's love, a stark contrast to the rigid and mechanical nature of the Islamic rituals she had followed all her life. As Anna grappled with these profound truths, she experienced a glimpse of true heavenly reality. The beauty and perfection she witnessed far surpassed anything she had imagined in her concept of Islamic paradise. This wasn't a place of sensual pleasures, but a realm of perfect unity with God, where His love permeated every aspect of existence. The enormity of God's love and grace began to dawn on Anna. She saw how the Islamic practice of reciting the Quran in Arabic, a language she didn't fully understand, had created an illusion of spirituality while preventing true comprehension of God's message. Now, in the presence of Christ, she felt a deep, personal connection to the divine that transcended language and ritual. Anna's heart swelled with a mixture of awe, gratitude, and remorse as she began to grasp the full implications of what she was experiencing. The love of Christ, so vast and unconditional, overwhelmed her. She realized that this love had always been available to her, even as she had unknowingly rejected it, in favor of a legalistic approach to spirituality. In a moment of profound surrender, Anna accepted Jesus as her Savior. As she did so, she felt a weight lift from her soul, the burden of trying to earn salvation through her own efforts. For the first time in her life, Anna experienced true spiritual freedom. The chains of legalism and fear that had bound her for so long fell away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace and acceptance. This spiritual liberation was unlike anything Anna had ever known. It wasn't the temporary relief she had felt after completing Islamic rituals or giving to charity. Instead, it was a profound, lasting transformation that touched the very core of her being. Anna understood that this was the beginning of a new journey, one that would require her to completely reorient her life around the truth she had discovered. As the reality of her transformation settled in, Anna sensed that her experience was far from over. She felt a stirring in her spirit, a growing awareness that she was being prepared for something more. The love and truth she had encountered were too profound to keep to herself. Anna began to realize that her return to life would come with a sacred mission, one that would challenge her in ways she could scarcely imagine. With a mixture of anticipation and trepidation, Anna prepared herself to learn about the purpose that awaited her upon her return to the physical world. She knew that sharing her testimony would come at a great personal cost, potentially alienating her from the community and life she had known. Yet the truth she had encountered was too powerful, too life-changing to keep hidden. As Anna stood on the threshold of her new reality, she braced herself for the challenges that lay ahead, knowing that the journey of faith she was about to embark upon would be the most significant of her life. As Anna stood in the presence of Jesus, her mind still reeling from the profound revelations she had experienced, she sensed that her journey was far from over. The air around her seemed to shimmer with divine purpose, and she knew instinctively that a new chapter in her spiritual odyssey was about to unfold. Jesus, his eyes radiating infinite love and wisdom, began to reveal to Anna the true purpose of her near-death experience. This wasn't merely a glimpse beyond the veil of mortality, it was a divine appointment, a cosmic calling that would reshape the course of her life and potentially impact countless others. With gentle authority, Jesus explained that Anna had been chosen for a sacred mission. Her task, should she accept it, was to return to the world of the living and share her extraordinary testimony. The weight of this responsibility settled upon Anna's shoulders, a mixture of honor and trepidation coursing through her being. As Anna absorbed this revelation, Jesus began to show her visions of the challenges that lay ahead. The images that flashed before her eyes were both sobering and frightening. She saw herself facing fierce opposition from her Muslim community, enduring harsh criticism and accusations of betrayal. The faces of her loved ones appeared, contorted with anger and disbelief at her transformation. Anna's heart ached as she witnessed scenes of her own isolation and persecution. Yet amidst these daunting visions, Jesus revealed something that filled Anna with awe and hope. She saw glimpses of Muslims throughout history who had secretly come to Christ, their hearts transformed by divine love despite the dangers they faced. These hidden believers, spread across centuries and continents, formed a tapestry of faith that had been woven in the shadows of Islamic dominance. The visions shifted, and Anna found herself witnessing a phenomenon that both thrilled and humbled her. Jesus showed her the current movement of God in the Islamic world, a spiritual awakening of unprecedented scale. She saw countless Muslims experiencing dreams and visions of Jesus, their lives transformed by encounters with the divine that defied their cultural and religious boundaries. As Anna watched these scenes unfold, her heart swelled with compassion for those still trapped in the spiritual darkness she had so recently escaped. She saw the internal struggles of those who felt trapped in their faith, questioning their beliefs, but afraid to voice their doubts. The pain and longing in their eyes resonated deeply with Anna, reminding her of her own journey. The magnitude of the task before her began to dawn on Anna. She realized that her testimony could be a beacon of hope for those secretly seeking the truth, a lifeline for souls adrift in a sea of spiritual uncertainty. Yet the personal cost of this mission was equally clear. Anna saw visions of herself facing rejection from her husband, limited access to her children, and ostracism from the community she had once called home. Despite the daunting challenges that lay ahead, Anna felt a surge of courage and determination. The love she had experienced in the presence of Jesus and the truth she had uncovered were too precious to keep to herself. With a mixture of fear and resolve, Anna accepted her divine mission, knowing that the path ahead would be fraught with difficulty, but illuminated by a higher purpose. As Anna prepared to return to her physical body, she felt a profound sense of transformation. The woman who would reawaken in that hospital bed would be fundamentally changed, armed with a truth that would shake the foundations of her world. She knew that her journey back to life would be the beginning of a new and perilous adventure, one that would require every ounce of faith and courage she possessed. With a final, loving glance from Jesus, Anna felt herself being drawn back towards the realm of the living. The spiritual realm began to fade around her, but the warmth of divine love lingered, a comforting presence that would sustain her through the trials to come. As Anna braced herself for the return to her physical form, she carried with her a message of hope and transformation that had the power to ignite a spiritual revolution. Anna's return to consciousness was a jarring transition from the ethereal realm she had just experienced to the harsh reality of a hospital room. The stark fluorescent lights and the rhythmic beeping of medical equipment replaced the warm, enveloping presence of the divine. As her eyes flickered open, Anna found herself surrounded by a team of bewildered medical professionals, their faces a mixture of relief and astonishment. The first words that escaped Anna's lips were not the confused utterances typically associated with patients awakening from near-death experiences. Instead, with a clarity that defied her physical condition, she proclaimed, "Jesus is Lord." These three simple words sent shockwaves through the room, particularly to her Muslim husband who stood anxiously by her bedside. His face contorted in a mixture of disbelief and concern, unable to comprehend the profound change that had occurred in his wife during her 15-minute brush with death. The medical staff exchanged perplexed glances, their scientific training ill-equipped to handle the miraculous nature of Anna's recovery. How could someone who had been clinically dead for 15 minutes awaken with no apparent brain damage? The attending physician, his brow furrowed in concentration, began a series of neurological tests, expecting to find some deficit that could explain away the inexplicable. Yet with each passing moment, it became increasingly clear that Anna's recovery defied medical explanation. As Anna's consciousness fully returned, she found herself grappling with the monumental task of articulating her profound experience. How could she possibly convey the magnitude of what she had witnessed in the spiritual realm? The words seemed inadequate, earthly language insufficient to describe the divine truths she had encountered. She struggled to find a way to express the overwhelming love and purpose she had felt in the presence of Jesus, knowing that her account would be met with skepticism and disbelief. With each attempt to explain her experience, Anna could see the growing confusion and concern in the eyes of those around her. Her husband's face was a mask of worry and incomprehension, while the medical staff exchanged glances that suggested they feared some form of trauma-induced delusion. Yet Anna knew with unwavering certainty that what she had experienced was real, more real than anything she had ever known in her physical existence. As the hours passed and Anna's strength gradually returned, a profound realization began to take root within her. Her life, as she had known it, was irrevocably changed. The comfortable routines of her devout Muslim existence, the certainties she had clung to for so long, had been shattered by her encounter with divine truth. Anna understood that she stood at the threshold of a new chapter in her life, one that would challenge everything she had ever known and believed. Despite the confusion and skepticism that surrounded her, Anna felt a steely determination growing within her soul. The mission entrusted to her by Jesus began to crystallize in her mind, overshadowing the fear and uncertainty of her current circumstances. She knew that the path ahead would be fraught with difficulties, that sharing her testimony would come at great personal cost. Yet the weight of the truth she had uncovered, the urgent need to share the message of salvation with those still trapped in deception, propelled her forward. As Anna lay in her hospital bed, physically weakened but spiritually emboldened, she began to prepare herself for the challenges that lay ahead. She understood that her transformation would be met with resistance, that her newfound faith would be tested in ways she could scarcely imagine. The faces of her family, friends, and community flashed before her mind's eye, and she braced herself for the inevitable confrontations and painful separations that would come. Yet even as Anna contemplated the difficult road ahead, a sense of peace and purpose settled over her. The love she had experienced in the presence of Jesus had fundamentally altered her perception of reality. She knew that no matter what trials she might face, the truth she had encountered was worth any sacrifice. With a mixture of trepidation and resolve, Anna prepared to take her first steps into a new life, one that would be defined by her unwavering commitment to sharing the message of hope and salvation she had been entrusted with. Anna's return to her everyday life marked the beginning of a journey filled with both profound challenges and unexpected blessings. As she stepped back into her home, the air thick with tension, she could feel the weight of her transformation pressing down upon her. The reactions of her family members varied wildly, painting a vivid picture of the turmoil her revelation had caused. Her husband, once her staunchest supporter, now regarded her with a mixture of confusion and betrayal. His eyes, once filled with love, now held a storm of emotions she could barely fathom. Anna's children, too young to fully grasp the magnitude of their mother's change, sensed the shift in the family dynamic. Their innocent questions about why Mommy no longer prayed like before cut deep into Anna's heart. The tension reached its breaking point when Anna's husband issued an ultimatum that shook the very foundations of their marriage. "Return to Islam," he demanded, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and desperation, "or our life together is over." The words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of years of shared history and the uncertain future that now loomed before them. As news of Anna's conversion spread through their tight-knit Muslim community, the response was swift and severe. Friends she had known for years now averted their eyes when they passed her on the street. The mosque, once a second home, became a place of whispers and sidelong glances. Anna found herself treated as if she had a contagious disease, her very presence a threat to the faith of those around her. The personal cost of her transformation became painfully clear as Anna watched her carefully constructed life crumble around her. She lost her job, her social standing evaporating overnight. The isolation was at times overwhelming, the rejection from those she had once called friends cutting deep into her soul. Yet, even in her darkest moments, Anna clung to the truth she had experienced, finding strength in the love she had encountered beyond death. Amidst the storm of opposition, Anna discovered unexpected allies. A small group of former Muslims who had undergone similar transformations reached out to her. They offered support, understanding, and a new community where Anna could freely express her newfound faith. In their company, Anna found the courage to continue on her path, despite the persecution she faced. As Anna navigated this new reality, opportunities to share her testimony began to arise. At first, they were small, private conversations with individuals who had heard whispers of her experience. Anna spoke of her journey with a quiet conviction, her words carrying the weight of profound truth. She described the overwhelming love she had encountered in the presence of Jesus, the stark revelations about the afterlife, and the liberating power of true salvation. With each retelling of her story, Anna felt her purpose crystallize. The faces of those who listened, their eyes wide with a mixture of disbelief and hope, fueled her determination. She knew that her words had the power to plant seeds of doubt in the hearts of those still trapped in the spiritual deception she had escaped. Yet the path of truth was not without its perils. Anna faced threats, both veiled and overt, from those who saw her conversion as a dangerous apostasy. Her husband, true to his ultimatum, began to distance himself emotionally and physically. He limited her time with their children, his words a constant reminder that in his eyes she had lost her way. Through it all, Anna's faith remained unwavering. The persecution she faced, while painful, only served to strengthen her resolve. She understood now with a clarity that transcended human understanding that the truth she had encountered was worth any earthly sacrifice. Anna's journey had only just begun, her life now dedicated to spreading the life-changing message she had been entrusted with. As Anna looked to the future, she knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Yet, she moved forward with a quiet confidence, her heart filled with the love and purpose she had discovered beyond the veil of death. Her story, a testament to the transformative power of divine truth, continued to unfold, touching lives and challenging long-held beliefs in ways she could scarcely have imagined. Anna Khan's extraordinary journey from devout Muslim to follower of Christ stands as a testament to the transformative power of near-death experiences. Her encounter with Jesus in the spiritual realm shattered her lifelong Islamic beliefs, revealing truths that challenged everything she had ever known. As Anna stated, "I was shown how the Islamic teaching about Jesus being just a prophet was a crucial deception." This profound revelation not only reshaped Anna's personal faith, but also ignited a mission to share her testimony with others. The impact of Anna's experience extends far beyond her individual transformation. It serves as a compelling call for open-minded exploration of spiritual truths that transcend cultural and religious boundaries. Anna's story invites us to consider the possibility that our deeply held beliefs may be challenged by experiences that defy our current understanding of reality. As her testimony demonstrates, near-death experiences have the potential to fundamentally alter one's perception of faith, God, and the nature of existence itself. Anna's journey encourages us to reflect on our own spiritual paths and to be open to questioning our beliefs. Her courage in facing persecution and rejection to share her newfound truth inspires others who may feel trapped in their faith to seek deeper understanding. The profound impact of Anna's near-death experience serves as a powerful reminder that spiritual transformation can come from unexpected sources, challenging us to remain open to divine revelations that may shatter our preconceptions and lead us to a more profound connection with the divine.